What if there is a powerful key to address water quality in Iowa? What if there is a tool that all landowners could use to organize their efforts? What if there was a way that state and public officials could prioritize our efforts and allocate the funding we need to clean up our water? Well, this is Professor Neil Hamilton from the Drake University Agricultural Law Center with today's Our Water, Our Land. They may not be a silver bullet or the magic answer, but it's increasingly clear that Iowa's watersheds are one of the real key approaches to helping us clean up and protect our water. A watershed is a geographic area defined by the natural flow of water in a region. Think of all the land that drains into a nearby river or stream on your farm. Watersheds come in all shapes and sizes depending on the terrain. Iowa is part of the Mississippi River watershed that drains into the Gulf. Much of central Iowa around Des Moines is in either the Raccoon or the Des Moines watersheds that drain down to the Mississippi River. Scientists classify watersheds by hydrologic unit code, or HUC. A HUC 12 watershed is perhaps the easiest one for us to think about because these are relatively small, 20 to 80,000 acres, and they involve land that's nearby, land we may be familiar with. Iowa has over 1,600 HUC 12 watersheds, and these are also accumulated into our 56 larger HUC 8 watersheds, such as the Raccoon. Watersheds are a useful approach for thinking about water quality protection because we all live in one and because we can observe the effect that practices on the land may have in impacting the quality of the water. So the first step is figuring out what watershed you live in. This may be harder than it sounds, in part because we don't necessarily think that way. We all know the county we live in. We also probably know our school district, but few of us could draw a map of our watershed. This was certainly true on our farm in Mercer Township in Adams County in southwest Iowa. What I now know becomes Willow Creek and later turns into the west branch of the 102 River actually starts in our back 40. But once the water flowed under the road and off to the west, we didn't think that much more about it. It went into the neighboring school district, and we really didn't understand who else might farm in the watershed or even think about what was going into the water. Things may not have changed for most landowners, but they should. And once they do, once we begin to think about watersheds, then great things can happen. If we're going to protect water quality, we need to know where it goes and what goes into it. We also need to know who else farms in our watershed and to think about what we can do to work together to protect water quality. This is what makes HUC 12 watersheds such an important and powerful tool for planning and for organizing our efforts. They provide a natural boundary to identify the farmers and landowners who live in the watershed and whose practices affect the quality of the water. Because watersheds are observable, they provide a convenient way for us to see what effect changes in farm practices, such as cover crops and filter strips, may actually have on water quality. Because HUC 12 watersheds also drain to a river, they also provide a logical way of thinking about where to install potential water quality protection practices, such as constructed wetlands. And they offer a convenient way to monitor water quality. Watersheds are the key to developing effective water quality protection programs in Iowa. This is why the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, IDALS, and the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, IDNR, are using watersheds as a way to prioritize and implement pilot projects. It's also why many new watershed management authorities are being created to organize the landowners and farmers in a particular area. So here's a project for every Iowa farmer and landowner. Find out what watershed you're in and learn more about what may be happening in it. There are handy tools available on the web to locate the watershed that you live in. Once you locate your watershed, then you can determine whether there are any interesting projects that may be underway, or any attempts to organize the landowners into a watershed management authority. In future episodes, we're going to examine some of the exciting projects underway in Iowa's watersheds, like the Lake Darling project that we've already examined. But for now, this is your assignment. Figure out the watershed you live in. This has been Professor Neil Hamilton with today's Our Water, a production of the Drake University Agricultural Law Center, coming to you from the beautiful Brenton Arboretum in Dallas County.